Supervisors, item number 11, an ordinance 2015-17 relating to the prohibition or restriction of solicitations involving vehicles. We have a number of speakers. What's the pleasure of the board? Do you want to hear the speakers now, or do you want to? Okay, we'll start with them. Okay, Carmen Wiswell.
Good morning. My name is Carmen Wiswell. I haven't attended the meetings previously because I volunteered at the community group.
Thank you for your volunteer.
However, I took this morning off because Supervisor Miller's proposed ordinance is important and worthy of your favorable consideration. Before I tell you why I support this ordinance, I want to share a bit about myself to avoid any misunderstanding about who I am or why I am commenting. I am a resident of unincorporated Pima County. I am a retired federal employee who spent many years working on social programs. The last 6 years of my federal career, I served as HUD's public affairs officers for the states of Alaska, Idaho, Oregon, and Washington. Excuse me. I worked with the press and assisted individuals and organizations in their efforts to shelter the homeless and to address various community housing needs. I provided support to city and county officials as they carried out their housing, community, and economic development activities. My husband is a disabled veteran, so I have a realistic understanding of the challenges that our veterans face. My intent in telling you these things is to make it clear that my support for the ordinance has nothing to do with a lack of sympathy for the homeless, nor a shortage of compassion for our military heroes. I support this ordinance because the county's lack of guidance regarding the use of unincorporated Pima County roadways has created an unsafe condition for all who use them. For example, the four center islands and the four corners of Craycroft River intersection are often used by individuals who request money from motorists. In an effort to attract motorists' attention, signs are held by these individuals who sit or stand in the medians and corners, pace up and down the sidewalk, or walk along the street adjacent to the vehicles. The signs in these activities distract motorists and create unsafe conditions. Some drivers interact with these individuals, which intensifies an already unsafe condition. I have observed firsthand that these interactions impede movement of traffic through the intersections. The seriousness of this situation is even greater now that most of our roadways are over capacity and many of our intersections are no longer safe. Road construction throughout the county adds an additional complication to the distractions caused by what is occurring in our medians and in our intersections. Since one of the primary responsibilities of the Board of Supervisors is to ensure that Pima County is a safe community, the board must adopt this ordinance. To do otherwise would be reckless and would show a lack of concern for the citizens of our community. Thank you for this opportunity to speak, and I look forward to your adoption of the ordinance.
Thank you. Mike Thorson.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to address this issue. It was interesting coming in to see the flyer that was handed out about poor people. I grew up a little poor. Probably my biggest fear in life is being poor again. I grew up living in the backseat of a car poor. I kind of resent the fact that anybody that thinks that this is a home or an issue about poor against rich, about anything like that, is just it's disturbing to me. This is about a safety issue. This is about people standing out on a median in the middle of a road where there's cars going by 45 miles an hour 3 feet away from them. I actually took the opportunity to walk out on one of these medians on Ina Road and stand on the door point of this intersection and watch cars go by. We look at this and we think it's pretty benign on the left-hand turn lane side of this. On the straight side of this, you have cars going by 45 miles an hour, 18 inches away from that curb. It's just a matter of time until somebody steps off that curb and is probably killed or seriously injured. My concern is not only for the people that are on the median, but it's also for the citizens and the taxpayers of Pima County. Who wants to be the guy who wins that lottery coming home that runs somebody over stepping off that curb? Do the taxpayers of Pima County, or should they be on the hook for this? This is reckless behavior. My other question about this would be to the board, has anybody from the Office of Risk Management looked at this? Do you as a Board of Supervisors understand what Pima County's liabilities are in this matter? So I as well urge the board to adopt this standard the same way that the town of Sororita, Oro Valley, Marana, and the city of Tucson have. Thank you.
Thank you. David, and I'm probably going to mangle your last name, McManamy.
Thank you and good morning. It's McManaman. Thanks for trying. I am a business owner in the Latroy Corporate Center. I also own the building that's in Latroy Corporate Center, and I've been there for approximately 10 years. During the recent ordinances that have been passed in Tucson, Marana, Sororita, and also Oro Valley, we basically have now an unintended consequence of the passing of those ordinances. What we now have is an infusion of individuals that have moved into the county. The Latroy corridor from Ina all the way down to River has become a significant safety issue. Significant safety issue. If you look at the backup material that's been provided for this ordinance, there has been approximately 63 police calls over a 30-day period, approximately 12 to 14 arrests. We had a homeless dog that was in here this morning, which, thank you, Mr. Carroll, offered to provide someone $15 to buy.
Interested?
I'm not. There was a person who was on one of the street corners who pummeled a dog. That's unacceptable behavior. I agree with the previous speaker that just came in about the safety issue. There is a very small strip where these individuals stand. At one point they used to sell newspapers. They do not anymore. It's strictly signs. There have been signs anywhere from my wife needs a kidney all the way to homeless down and out. I also came from a very meager background. I own a successful business. I would urge you to vote for this first safety issue. 3 reasons. First, safety, people walking off the median, potentially getting hit by a car, potential significant lawsuit for the county. Second, health issue for the people standing on the street corner. We're getting ready to go into the summer months. Last year we had numerous emergency calls of people passing out because of heat stroke in the medians. If that happens and they fall into the traffic, into that 45-mile-an-hour car coming by, that person basically is probably going to be maimed or killed. Third, safety issue for our kids, health issue for our kids. Robbins Elementary School is right around the corner. If you look at the police reports, there's been sexual harassment, indecent exposure, drunkenness. Do we want our kids exposed to that? I think you would all agree as supervisors you probably don't want your kids exposed to that type of event. So I would urge you to take a very close look at this, vote yes. Again, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Beth Hargrove. Beth. One more time. Beth Hargrove. Christopher Cole.
Before I start my comments, I'd like to point out, as Supervisor Elias did, it's a Cinco de Mayo, where we celebrate that a heavily outnumbered bunch of Mexican peasants can also beat the French army. I'm Christopher Cole. I'm the first Vice Chairman of the Pima County Libertarian Party, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Libertarian Party. This is a solution that is searching for a problem. Speakers before me have talked about this is a safety issue. Life is unsafe. What was it, 3-4 years ago, this issue was brought up and died for a lack of second because there was no problem. was it last year, this issue came up, and there was a huge number of people in here speaking, and the issue was voted down because there was no problem. Is there a potential for a problem? There is a potential for a problem every time you eat a bagel. Basically, you know, the issue is there is a possibility that somebody's going to irresponsibly, on their own initiative, step out into the traffic and get hit. There is the possibility that somebody could have a heat stroke and keel over into traffic. But it hasn't happened yet. And one of the principles in traffic management planning and so forth is that you don't try and fix a problem that could be. You fix a problem that is. And right now, this is a problem that could be and may never be. And it is not a problem that is. All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. And finally, Brian Flagg.
Hi, supervisors and staff. Brian Flagg. I've lived and worked at Casa Maria, the Catholic Worker House and Soup Kitchen for more than the last 30 years. You know, to me, this is a moral issue. Straight up, it comes down to being a moral issue. And I heard other speakers talk about how this is reckless and a significant safety issue. Well, what's reckless and unsafe is that we live in the wealthiest country the world has ever known, and we allow this real significant portion of our population to live in poverty. Like, what is it in Pima County? It's 20–25%. And the bottom of that portion is homeless people and really poor people. They don't have jobs. And I submit to you that we as a society can have full employment like right away with the political will, but it doesn't happen. And that's what's reckless. That's what's unsafe. And that's straight up immoral. And one of these days, I would submit to you that we're all going to have to meet our Maker, reckon with our Creator. And I say that how you deal with poor people, how you deal with the least among us, is how you're going to be judged. So my message is, don't screw over the poor people any more than that they're already screwed over. And it's about, I agree with whoever it was this morning that talked about jobs. It was the guy, Mr. Heron, talked about JOBS, jobs. The pathway to liberation for poor people is jobs so that they can work. And this is about people out there selling newspapers on the corner. Don't take away their livelihood. They're working and trying to get out of poverty. So please, supervisors, stand up for the poor people. Don't kick them when they're down. And please don't vote for this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. That goes. It's in order in this. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Supervisor Miller.
I just want to talk about why this ordinance, why I brought it forward again. Is it okay, Mr. Carroll? I'm sorry to
why don't we, if we're going to have a discussion, well, go ahead.
Earlier this year, January, February timeframe, I was getting flooded with phone calls into my office from individuals who talked about people who are in medians. Business owners, residents in the La Cholla, Orange Grove, and all along Ina Road. These complaints came into my office. They were from a business, one of them was from a business owner near La Cholla and Orange Grove. And after multiple calls, I agreed to meet with this business owner who had complained his customers from Northwest Hospital would no longer come to his business because they were getting harassed on the way in by individuals who were in the medians, and then again on the way out, their sandwiches were being grabbed out of their hands. That is a safety issue. And these individuals, the place of business was owned by a commercial real estate broker who showed up at this meeting, Mr. Bruce Romero, his assistant, Lieutenant Rosenthal, and the business owner. We met for approximately an hour, and the sheriff department said they hadn't previously kept a separate log of the complaints, so they started keeping a log and created a special code for these types of complaints. In a 1 month time, 93 calls were received by the sheriff's department. 63 of them were in District 1, and there were 23 arrests for various issues. I have the report sent to me by Chief Nanos. Calls included trespassing, shoplifting, homeless man beating a puppy with multiple individuals stopping in traffic to assist, breaking into a car, theft, shoplifting, homeless struck by a vehicle outside of a crosswalk. Sexual harassment and domestic violence were among several of the calls. In addition, I had a personal experience, which I never reported to the sheriff's department, with an individual who apparently lost their balance and came out into the traffic, and I almost hit them. That concerns me. That is a safety issue. It isn't about rich or poor. No one's trying to take anyone's job away from them. And these individuals are creating a safety hazard, not only for themselves, but the individuals in the cars handing the money out or trying to entice them into the traffic are creating a safety hazard by getting these individuals coming out into the traffic. And as long as we allow this, we have exposure here in Pima County from a risk management standpoint. And you may or may not agree with that. You may think, well, it's not going to happen, but we had an individual fall on a bicycle and had to pay $1.8 million. We need to have an assessment of this situation from a risk management standpoint. We passed those calls along to the sheriff's department. They investigated, and there were 23 arrests, as I said. And residents in District 1 and all over the county called my office asking for a solution. City of Tucson has a solution. Oro Valley has a solution. Sahuarita has a solution. And Marana has a solution. Everyone except Pima County. And as a result of that, that is why we're seeing these individuals show up in the unincorporated areas. And I agreed to put this back on the agenda for the residents of Pima County who asked for it. They're very concerned about this issue. Another individual, his daughter, was accosted by an individual on the sidewalk as she was coming across. She was accosted and harassed. She was 14 years old. How would you like your daughter subjected to that? You probably wouldn't. This is without a doubt a hazardous situation to drivers and individuals in the median. All of the jurisdictions have ordinances, as I said previously, and working closely with the county attorney, Andy Flagg, who reviewed and crafted the language very carefully and changed it after some lawsuits recently got settled on First Amendment. We want to make sure there's no First Amendment issues. I gave him the ordinances for other jurisdiction, and as we know, the City of Tucson's ordinance just was upheld by a federal judge. Direct, and specifically, the language is direct interaction between pedestrians and vehicle occupants as they are traveling, individuals in median, sidewalks, etc., for purposes of directly interacting with occupants of vehicles causes a distraction, causes a delay, and thereby a safety hazard. As a result of this, I am going to move that we close the public hearing and approve ordinance number 2015-17 relating to the prohibition or restriction of solicitation involving vehicles within county roadways, amending Title 10 of the Pima County Code by adding a new chapter 10.37 to prohibit or restriction solicitation involving vehicles within county roadways.
Is there a second? Is there a second? Motion dies for lack of a second.